Todd! Welcome back, sir. Todd, why is it taking us so long to do this again?
Because we're both adults and we work.
We're both adults and we work, and we're also awful, awful people.
That is true.
This is Nerd Bourbon Episode 1. I'm Seth Sturgill.
And I'm Todd Sturgill.
And this is Nerd Bourbon Episode 50, Todd. It feels right in my hands.
It's May 3rd, 2019.
This is Nerd Bourbon Episode 100. I'm Seth Sturgill.
And I am the one true king, Todd Sturgill.
You haven't said that in a while, Todd.
You know.
You're rolling it back out for the special episode, huh?
I am.
Man, here we are. We've made it 100 episodes, Todd. Can you believe it?
No, actually. I do apologize for the way my voice sounds in this episode.
You literally just woke up.
Yeah, I legitimately just woke up. So you get that little...
Still got some sleep in his voice.
So it's a little more bassy. You know?
That's not going to stop us from having a episode 100 celebration. We have both prepared ourselves some drinks, as we have attempted to do many times, but I think the only time, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the only time we've actually drank on the show was like, wasn't it, maybe we drank for the first anniversary? But I know we obviously drank for my bachelor party episode.
Yeah, I think I think we drank early, like one of the first episodes. Because it's just like, because we were like, oh, let's jumping back into this shit and taking it serious, because this is the Nerd Bourbon of old.
That's something that I want to. I put together a little intro, kind of going through the history a little bit of Nerd Bourbon, giving you guys a taste of like when we first started doing this podcast. And like, I just want to stress that like, we did this podcast. I have done some kind of a podcast, like starting and finishing like several times throughout my life. Mm-hmm. And like the show that you're listening to right now, the show that we have done 100 weeks of straight, is like just the culmination of me like actually committing myself to something, like me actually committing myself to this podcast and making sure that we're here every week doing it. And like, it just, I'm raising my glass of hibiki here, Japanese whiskey, to salute you all for listening to us. If it's, whether you've listened to us for just one episode or if you've listened to us for all 100 and counting, we appreciate you very much.
Yeah, so. And I raised my Kmart Japanese whiskey.
You're drinking, was it the Toki?
Yeah.
the Suntory Toki or whatever?
The Suntory Toki, yeah.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We're gonna so let's do a little internet cheers, Todd, to Nerd Bourbon. have a little sip here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's interesting? This is the first time that I've ever sort of like prepared an old-fashioned with hibiki.
Oh yeah?
I have not, as much as I've drinking this, since we picked it up for my bachelor party, and the bottle's like halfway gone now. That's a big bottle. But I've always just had it neat. I've never made an old-fashioned out of it. And now that I have, can I be honest with you? I don't like it. It sullies the taste.
That's some real shit. I was actually I was about to say that. Why would you taint it? Like, I could see myself. Let me say. I could see myself doing it with Toki, because like Toki isn't like anything special like hibiki is, but hibiki is like that primo shit, man.
Don't get me wrong. It's still good, but it's a little bit weird. Like, I feel like I've like put some birthday cake in my wine or something like that. Mm-hmm. Which I guess might be appropriate for what we're going for here. But Episode 100, man. We're here. We definitely there was something when we were thinking about what to do for episode 100. I didn't want to make this. I mean, I want to make a big deal out of it and everything, but I didn't want to like disrupt the normal flow of the show for the sake of it. You know?
Yeah.
So I basically what we're going to do is we're going to treat this as if it were a normal episode of Nerd Bourbon because, there's still news we want to cover. There's still, games we've been playing and stuff we want to talk about. And essentially what we're going to do is after once we reach the end of the episode, we're going to kind of do a special topic tackling the history of Nerd Bourbon. We're actually going to talk about our favorite. We're going to have a very masturbatory section where we talk about our favorite episodes of Nerd Bourbon past. So I think that's probably the route we'll go with it for this 100 episode celebration. But I'm honestly just like, not to get emotional or anything, but it's just, to have been doing this for as long as we've been doing it, every week, nonstop for the past 100 weeks, we've produced at least one podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Usually more when you factor in shots and relapse and like even the ones that we haven't touched in a while, like Eats or Book Club. and when you consider like the YouTube presence and the Let's Plays that we've done, and it's just a good opportunity every now and then. It's not something that we do often, but like every now and then you hit these landmark episodes like this where you just kind of sit back and you're just like, yeah, like done some good work over the past almost 2 years of doing Nerd Bourbon. So
a lot of content for just two dudes.
A lot of content for just two dudes. Both have enjoyed employment for the most part over the course of these 2 years too. So it's not as if
we've definitely both been out of jobs.
Yes, but it's not as if. I mean, for by and large, we have both maintained full-time jobs while also producing all this content. So
I do know that like the last time I was unemployed, it was like that's when the Let's Plays were thriving on the YouTube channel.
Even without that, though, I mean, honestly, like we have maintained a solid presence on our YouTube channel and stuff, and we have a a devoted little a tight-knit little fan base where every episode. People are there on Fridays, like waiting for the episode. And it's not a lot of people, but I appreciate each and every one of you that are there, for the new episodes on Friday. The people that do listen and the people that do like this show. And we have friends and strangers alike that come up to me and say like, hey, I enjoy what you do. I feel like you should be more popular. Your show is like the only podcast I listen to. Shit, we had a friend of ours say that Nerd Bourbon is their main way of getting video game news.
Awesome.
When we started covering video game news somewhere in I think like the 70s. And,
something like that.
Yeah, and like ever since then, he's like, dude, like straight up, like this is the main way I get my news. I just listen to you guys. So I that means a lot to me. That's why I try to cover the news that I care about and the news that you care about, and we kind of have finally found kind of a structure for this show. So with all that out of the way, I think we should just tackle episode 100 like we tackle every episode, Todd. And that starts with me asking you, Todd, what have you been playing this week?
Where to begin? Where to begin with this game? So I bought Days Gone.
I've been looking forward to hearing you talk about this.
So actually. It's funny, as I did mention in the last episode that like if I do pick it up, you'll get some Days Gone talk, and you are going to get some Days Gone talk. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Oh shit, that bad, huh?
There's a part of me that enjoys this game for what it is. It's not a fucking masterpiece, and Lord knows it's not a bad game, and it's not a good game. It's a real meh game. Honestly, I mean, the best part about it is probably the story. Thing is, like, is it worth playing the game for the story?
Right.
It's like your whole thing is like based off the whole like you get around on a motorcycle. That shit doesn't even feel that good.
So Days Gone is really the only premier Sony first party game that we have for like the first half of 2019. Really, when you think about it, there's not been much in the way of like PlayStation exclusives, and as far as we know, looking forward to the rest of 2019, there probably isn't going to be much more than that. I mean, Dreams is out, like in like early access or whatever, but nobody's talking about it.
It's not good, man.
And like, you know, it seems like The Last of Us Part 2 is not going to be coming out this year. It seems like Ghost of Tsushima might not come out this year. Death Stranding is certainly not going to come out this year. So Days Gone is kind of what Sony has to hang their hat on in 2019, and it sounds like the game is kind of undercooked.
Yep.
It's had, what, 6 patches now since release? 7 since release?
Well, it's that, yeah, so, again, before release there was 4.
Right.
And now just, it was 1.0, it was 1.04 when the game came out. It's at 1.07 right now.
Wow.
Lord knows, you know, I can jump on right now. Maybe it might be at 1.08. I don't fucking know. Again, like, I'm not gonna say I'm not having fun with the game. Like, I there's a part of me that enjoys playing the game. Then when I just really think about it, I'm like, why am I playing this? It's not like, it's nothing crazy. It's just, I feel like I'm forcing myself to play something to keep me away from the shit that I've been doing in Borderlands.
Because you've basically been playing Borderlands exclusively for like the past month.
Yeah, just grinding, just doing a bunch of bullshit. Actually ended up doing a Digistruct Peak for like one run just to get like the headpiece and the skin.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's like Digistruct Peak is whatever. Like it's like the OP levels or something I just don't care about. But whatever. That's Borderlands, and a part of me is like getting drawn back into it with something that we're going to talk about later. But Days Gone, man, it's, if I had to like rank it out of like 1 to 10, shit, I think I said a 7 earlier on, like when I was talking to you a couple days ago.
Might be a little lower now.
Shit, I'll be honest. Like, honestly, one of the best parts of that game, personally, is running into a horde, because that shit is like genuinely fucking terrifying.
It seems like that is something that they've sort of hung their hat on from a technical level, because like that seems impressive. You know?
There's not a lot. So when we were talking about this game, like off recording, it's like you're like, oh, there's apparently people having some frame rate issues. I finally run into those issues. Like I've noticed them just like, and it's just like I'm not doing shit.
Right.
Like, I'm just, like, kind of just driving around. Like, why am I getting frame rate issues with this? But, like, the moment all those motherfuckers are on screen, it's actually, like, not that bad. It's, like, it's pretty smooth. And I'm telling you, those motherfuckers flow out like water.
Right.
And, like, that shit alone, just the amount of zombies on screen with the horde and all that, that is, without a doubt, one of the most terrifying things I've ever had to deal with in a game. Because you can't do shit.
That is the big differentiator with Days Gone and the way they handle. Yes, it's another, like, you know, it's not another zombie game, right? But, like, hell, it's not another PlayStation exclusive zombie game at this point. But it's the big differentiator is the way they handle their zombies, or their freakers.
Don't call them that. I hate it. But yeah, the freakers, you know.
The way like they handle that is a little bit different from like The Last of Us.
Well, in a way, it's like, dude, you don't even have to headshot these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
It's not like, it doesn't play to that whole mythos, you know? Like, it's its own fucking thing in a way. And that's, I think maybe that's why they call them fucking freakers. And shit, there's actually like little kid zombies. Little kid freakers. Newts, as they're called.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hear
stabbed one in the spine.
Oh God. from what I've heard about the game, the general sense, it seems like the game is just sort of undercooked from a technological standpoint. Mm-hmm. It is like it doesn't run well.
The gameplay is very mundane.
The gameplay is mundane and repetitive, from what I've heard.
Yep.
But, you know, the story seems to be the saving grace.
But it's like, is that enough for somebody to keep on playing it, man?
I think that just depends on what kind of gamer you are. Ultimately.
And right now, you know, I know the type of person I am. Like, I love a good story as much as the next person. But if I don't have gameplay to carry me through it,
Right.
dude, I'm gonna be honest, it's been rough for me to keep on playing it.
I have said this many times where I think that a game is truly, truly special when it does one thing really, really well, the other thing really, really well, or it reaches true nirvana when both things are married perfectly,
Yeah.
story and
Yeah.
gameplay. Because you can have like a Gone Home, which is an amazing story, and that's an amazing game, or you can have like, say, Mario Galaxy, which is like fantastic gameplay but doesn't really have a story. Those are both amazing games in their own right, but you take something like, say, Wind Waker, which is like a really elevated game, one of the best games of all time, because it has a fantastic story and fantastic gameplay. That's when you get something special.
Yeah, and that's rare nowadays, honestly. And it's just as good as this Days Gone story is. I don't know if I'm gonna continue playing it.
Really? You don't think you're even going to finish it?
Some real shit, dude. I'm
Wow.
telling you, it's been rough.
That's surprising to me.
Again, it's the point now where I'm just like, I don't like forcing myself to do shit anymore.
Right.
And if the moment something feels like work in my free time,
Uh-huh.
it bothers me.
Yeah, I
'Cause I'm
mean,
just
that's
like-
a conversation that we've been having a lot lately.
Yeah.
You know? Is like how valuable your free time is to you. You know?
And yeah, it's just like when I'm off of work, I don't want to like force myself to do anything. It's just like if it's fun, it's fun. You know?
Yeah, the fact that you don't even know if you're going to finish it tells me really all I need to know about how good that game's story actually is. Like, if the story, I mean, I'm sure the story's good and the characters are good and stuff like that, but if it was really, like, shining through... Because here's the deal. Like, when I think back to The Last of Us, and The Last of Us is, like, one of my favorite games of the last generation. When I think back to that, the gameplay of that game is not especially good. But
there's the thing. The story of that game is a fucking masterpiece.
But the story was so good that it, like,
Yeah.
kept me going, you know?
That's the difference between a game like The Last of Us and Days Gone. Because The Last of Us, that story is so good that I wanted to push through, you know?
Do you think that it was a mistake for Sony Ben to have made this game open world? Do you think that this game would have benefited from taking a more linear Last of Us style approach?
I mean, it would have to change the way the game sort of works.
Exactly. Exactly.
But honestly, I think it would work better for me. I don't know. I think maybe I'm feeling fatigued by open world games nowadays.
Right. There's
And
only so many check boxes you can check.
I swear. And it's just like, then you also get caught into a lot of things with Days Gone with like the whole, it is like somewhat survival-ish. You know, you got to scavenge around for scraps, scavenge around for like materials to craft shit. And you also need to find fuel, which is honestly one of the most annoying parts in the game. There's like guaranteed fuel spots, like, at gas stations. But if you're not by like a gas station, good luck finding like a fucking red gas can,
Right.
And I mean, if you really look, it's usually not that hard, but still, it's still annoying that you gotta like keep up with that shit. Like, and it just gets to the point where I'm lazy. I'll fucking fast travel and just fucking buy it from one of the camps. Like, fuck you, I'm lazy.
I just wonder if, like, because I think that this game, I think this game was a very ambitious project for Bend, and that's why, for context, and I think I've talked about this in the past, just sort of leading up to this game, maybe offhandedly. I mean, Sony Bend has been working on this game for like 8 years. They've literally been working on this game. The last game they released was in 2011 with Uncharted Golden Abyss. So, I mean, this game has been long in development, and now that it's finally out, for it to be kind of like of a lesser quality is really upsetting to hear. Yeah,
it's like, again, I wanted to love this game. I wanted to enjoy, I wanted to have fun, which I have. I'm in the grand scheme, and when I say I'm having fun with the game, it's more so like I'm not doing anything else, so I got to try to enjoy it. You know what I mean? That's fucked up.
Man. And then like it's so weird because like I hear people like you like kind of feeling lukewarm on it or whatever. And then I have friends that love it, that are like having a blast with it and think it's like one of the year's best and shit like that. So I don't know.
At this point with like the amount of games that's come out on PS4, it probably is.
Well, yeah. In terms of the PS4 exclusives, it certainly is, because there just is no competition.
Exactly. So it's like they're not wrong. No.
I don't know. It's a bummer for me to hear that this game didn't shake out.
No, I want to talk about something.
Okay.
I want to talk about my new chair.
Ah, okay.
So, you should actually look it up on your phone, but it's the Respawn 900 gaming recliner.
Respawn 900 gaming recliner.
Check it out.
Okay.
I'll tell you right now, I love this fucking thing.
Okay, I see.
It's got these thick armrests, man.
Now, I'm looking at this, and I'm a little bit shocked that do you even have enough room in your prison cell
to recline?
To fully recline? Wow.
Oh, I do.
That's shocking to me.
Why do you hate me?
Am I wrong?
I mean, you're not wrong in asking that question, but I do have enough space to actually recline.
I've been in the market for a new chair, man.
Can I just tell you, it's actually hilarious. I was moving because it's a 360 swivel, right? And my cat was in the room, and it was freaking the fuck out with the swivel. It was like, it looked at my chair like, what the fuck are you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I got a little bit of sticker shock right now looking at the Amazon listing. Ay.
Oh, yeah.
I do want to end up, I do want to get a new chair for sure, but that's the reality of it is, yeah, as you just said, when you have a cat, my cat loves to, one of his favorite things, he loves to jump on the back of my chair and just like chill there when I'm editing or whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes he'll kind of like cats do, they'll kind of knead the back of a chair.
That's the thing. With my old chair, I didn't care. With this one, I'll beat this cat's ass.
So
this cat ain't gonna get near this motherfucker.
So that's the main thing I'm worried about. So I think maybe I've mentioned on the show, my wife and I are kind of about to start looking for a house for the first time, and in it I'm gonna have like an office, and so I think that's really what I'm gonna wait on until I pull the trigger.
Are you guys doing that now or what?
We're about to start. We're kind of like in the in between time. I've got to get a new job and everything. And
so are you guys gonna be looking for a house here and or where you guys are at? Leesville?
Where we're at now. Yeah.
Okay.
We debated on just like waiting on it, but my wife wants to. She wants to spend more time in her company and like rise up in the ranks a little bit, because our ultimate goal is we want to move to Texas.
Yeah.
And, and that's where we want to kind of like set our roots down and shit like that. But even if you buy a house, and you put, you make modifications or like, kind of like accrue equity in that house, it's still ultimately smarter to buy a house than to rent a house. Because even if you say you buy a house and you've made improvements or whatever, and you accrue equity, and then you resell it, you could still stand to make a profit when you move.
Yeah.
Even if we buy a house and we end up moving in 2-3 years or whatever, it's still kind of worth.
Yeah.
So
that's what we're looking at. Speaking of job talks, the last thing I'm going to say. At the time of this being uploaded, this is coming out on Friday, so Friday night is my final night of overnight. It brings a tear to my eye. I've been doing overnight for almost 5 years at this point.
Yeah, we don't get this is episode 100. I think we could put a little bit of real life talk in here.
Yeah, the real life talk. We
don't normally do that.
Throughout the doing this podcast, I've been basically overnight the entire time. Minus like even with when I was working for my the job before this, it was kind of like a 2.5 is what I'd like to call it. But this is fully second shift that I'm going to be going to. And I am very excited.
Hopefully it works out. Hopefully you enjoy it and it's everything that you want it to be.
Even though now I have to put on the prison uniform.
Yeah. It is what it is.
That's like honestly the only downside.
Yeah.
But it's like, fuck it, I don't care.
Is what it is. It'll end up being a good thing overall. But you been playing anything else?
Other than Borderlands and Days Gone.
Pretty much it.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. Because Lord knows I haven't touched Sekiro in like over a month at this point.
I've stopped giving you shit for that. The heart wants what the heart wants, Tom.
I give myself shit for it.
Ultimately, if you don't want to play, I mean, I think your day will probably come with that game.
Yeah, you know what it is? I'm telling you, I think it's gonna be like the next time I got like I feel like it might be easier for me to jump into it on my new schedule.
That might be true.
When I actually have my I'm going back to having my 2 days off in a row and whatnot. So that might be when it's easier for me to do it.
Yeah, you have a little more time to. Yeah, I can see that. I think that for me, in terms of video games, this week has been so I finally 100%ed Yoshi's Crafted World, and I tell you, I rolled a single tear.
I would have been sobbing after all the shit you've told me.
when I finally removed that game from my Switch. Now I just
it's like you're fucking Thanos over here, like, and now I rest.
Yeah. Although nothing is grateful for what I've done.
No, nothing's grateful about that, but it's now you can rest.
Now I can rest. I will say this, and I know the only reason I wanted to circle back to this game this week is because once you finish the game, there is one little thing that I wanted to give the game props for, and it's very minor in the grand scheme of things, where they actually they introduced this kind of mechanic called boss challenges, and it's actually really cool. And there are a few kind of like post-game hidden kind of levels that are actually really fun and challenging, and I'm like, man, why couldn't the entire game have been like this? If the entire game was like this, I would have felt much more positive about it, and then just cut out all the scavenger hunt shit, and it would have been a really great Yoshi game. As it stands, it's kind of just an okay Yoshi game, which is fine. I liked it overall.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm like, from all the shit you were telling me about that fucking game, I'm like, God, I'm happy I don't game like that.
I just, I'm too OCD. I had to go through and see it through to the end, but I'll tell you that.
And again, this is coming from the dude that's put like asinine amount of hours in other games.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain bugs. You got to bug up your ass about certain things. You don't with others. But for Yoshi's Crafted World, it does some really cool things. I recommend the game overall, but it's not going to touch my top 10 at the end of the year with a 10-foot pole. I'll tell you that. But I swear to God, like, if you just play through that game like normally, you'll get a good probably 10, 12 hours out of it.
And that's fine.
That's totally solid.
Yeah.
To 100% the game, I put nearly 40 hours into it. So, yeah. Just to show you how much artificial padding that game has. So, once I finally, I kind of had a little bit of a Stockholm syndrome once I finally completed Yoshi's Crafted World, where I was like, now what? I felt like Lord. Thanos. I'm sitting there on my farm, and I don't know what to do with myself. And watching the sunset on a grateful Switch controller, I guess. And I didn't know really what to do, and I was kind of looking at, I have these indie games that I'm kind of slowly chipping away at, but the thing about indie games is typically they're pretty short. So, like, I have Falcon Age, which I've kind of been playing off and on. I've got Katana Zero, which I love, but I'm trying to, like, savor it, playing it, like, a level at a time kind of things. I know that the game is short.
You're doing what I'd like the first time I played the Doom 2016.
Yeah, well, Katana Zero has got a kind of like almost like a countdown where you actually know that you're getting close to the end of the game.
Yeah,
So I'm taking my time with that because I'm loving it so much. Deadass, my current front runner for Game of the Year.
Damn.
And then like Cuphead is another thing where like I've already finished Cuphead in the past on PC.
That's gonna be in a weird position because it's like you've beaten the game. It's like you're just kind of doing this for the fuck of it.
It's really cool to have it on Switch, and I really like kind of turning it on and fucking around with it. But I don't feel the draw to come back into it because I've already finished the game. So, I don't know. I kind of fool around with it, but I'm not, it's not like my main thing. So I was looking for a new, big, kind of meaty game to really like take my attention and sink my teeth into. And I have a few that I kind of had on the backlog. I was like, maybe I could re-download Shadow of the Tomb Raider and like check that out. I had Hitman 2 that I was like thinking about maybe checking out. That I bought these games all on sale where I don't think I paid more than, I think I paid $25 for Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I think I paid maybe $25 or $30 for Hitman 2 on a sale. And there was one more game that I got for, I think it was either $20 or $25 last year, and that was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And that was the game that I ended up landing on, where I was like, you know what? Let me jump in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Let me see if it can get its hooks into me. And here I am. I started playing it maybe 2 days ago, and I've already put about 7 or 8 hours into the game, which for me is a lot. I don't play.
Like it doesn't sound like a lot, but that is actually a lot for him. But for 2 days,
yeah. So I actually I've put a solid amount of time into it, and I gotta say, I'm really really loving this game.
It's the one game that I just do not understand why I just had like no interest in.
I know that's what's so crazy to me because you loved Origins.
It's weird to me.
Yeah.
Like even I can admit like it's a weird thing. It's like I fucking absolutely loved Origins. I'd like fucking 100% of that shit.
Yeah, I think you platinumed that game, didn't you?
Yeah, I platinumed Origins. And it was like a dumb platinum because I had to like actually start a new game.
Right. Yeah. So that was surprising to me, and I think you were saying it's just the setting that turned you off, right?
I think it's just I don't know. I just don't care for the Greek setting.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I don't know. I feel like it's been done.
I mean, you say that, but I can't. Other than maybe God of War, I can't really think of another game that's really.
I personally can't. It's like one of those things I legitimately cannot explain. Like why even from the get go, I just had no interest in it.
This game. This game to me, and I played Origins for maybe 10 to 15 hours and really enjoyed what I was playing, but it didn't super hook me. And I can't really tell you why, because I really authentically was enjoying what I was playing with Origins, and I thought, I just want to take a second to commend Ubisoft on the new direction that they've taken with the Assassin's Creed series.
Oh, no. I love the more, like, they're leaning more towards RPG-esque, like, gameplay.
Well, just in general, like, they've really turned Assassin's Creed into more of a special series now, where it's actually kind of a marquee event when a new Assassin's Creed comes out for a change. There was a time where it's like, okay, what's this year's Assassin's Creed going to be?
Yeah, so that's some real shit.
And it was just the same shit every year in a new setting, and that's all it was. Where now they're actually making significant advancements, because of this game, while it may be functionally similar to Origins, where it's got the loot and the gear and the kind of, the deeper RPG systems that Origins introduced, they take it several steps further.
Yeah.
With this one.
I do know that. I do know there's like way more shit going on.
It is. I mean, it is so cool. Like I was joking with our mutual friend Dan, where I was kind of talking to him about it. So this game introduces like dialogue tree and player choices and stuff like that. And I was like, this is the best BioWare game I've played in a while.
I joked with you. I was like, does your player choice really matter?
It doesn't, because like there are actually, I'll give you an example. And this is, I mean, I don't feel bad about talking about this. This game came out literally almost a year ago at this point.
Spoilers. No.
So light spoilers. But I'll give you an example of how your player choice actually can somewhat matter. So, and this is a completely innocuous side quest. I'm riding through on my horse through the Greek countryside, and I basically tackle these. I basically tackle it just like I tackled it in Origins, where whenever I would get to a new sort of continent or landmass or whatever, I would just find all the locations and clear them all before I did anything else. I
mean, you're playing like I played Origins. Go on.
That's exactly what I did with Origins. That's what I'm doing here in Odyssey. And so I'm just kind of making my way to another area to clear. And I pass this small village, and it's got maybe 10 houses in this village, but they're all it's just this charred like scar of land. All these houses have been burned to the ground. And I'm like, what the fuck happened here? And even the character I'm playing as, Cassandra, that should be noted. You can play as either Cassandra or Alexios, man or woman, in this game, which is a very cool touch. And I'm playing as Cassandra, and even she comments, like, what the hell happened here? And as I'm exploring this kind of, like, charred up village, I come across a couple of guards who have, like, this family tied up, and they're about to, I think, like, send them to, like, a prison camp or something like that. And as it turns out, this village had contracted a plague that they're trying to keep from expanding to the rest of the countryside. So you get a choice of kind of like killing the guards and letting the family go, or being like, sorry guys, we can't let this plague get any further. Because the family's trying to tell you the whole time, oh no, they don't know that it's contagious. We're the last ones left. We'll go away. It's not contagious. The plague's not going to go anywhere. Please let us live, kind of thing. And you get to make that choice, right? And in a normal situation, I would let the family live, right? Well, I looked it up before I made the decision, because I was like so at arms, like just kind of uneasy with it. And if you let the family live, actually the biggest city in that area of the game will contract the plague.
Wow.
And if you don't let them live, you feel like shit, because there's like children, in this family that are now going to die. And actually, one of the main characters, like one of your supporting characters, is this little girl named Phoebe, and one of them is like one of her best friends, and she makes you feel like an asshole for like letting them die. But as it turns out, the guards are right. So if you let them die, then the plague doesn't spread,
And the sun sets on a grateful country.
But so that's an example of the ways that, player choice actually does kind of matter in this game.
I'll give it that. Like, I respect that there's shit like that in the game.
Yeah, it's nothing major. Like, that's not going to affect... The overall story is going to be the same for everybody. But there are romance options to pursue, similar to a BioWare game. Whereas with Origins, it kind of was a love story with two characters that, like, kind of have to be together. This one is a little more loose. It just feels
Loosey-goosey.
a little more loosey-goosey. I feel like we're going to be loosey-goosey by the end of this episode.
Ooh.
And it has me very impressed. There are multiple ways to handle situations. There are, depending on your dialogue choices, and then even like aside from that, one thing that Ubisoft has done really, really right with Assassin's Creed from Origins and now Odyssey is just the gameplay just feels so good. Like, I don't feel like Assassin's Creed ever truly, truly had a handle on its gameplay until Origins and now Odyssey. The combat in Origins, and you can speak to this, just feels good.
A1. It's A1.
They did such a good job with making these games feel like proper action games with combat and movement and traversal that actually just feels good. And all of it goes a long way for me. I'm really having a great time with it. I can't wait to sink, dozens of more hours into it. I know that you're not crazy about the ship combat with these games, but they've brought that back. They've brought that back with this one, and it's even deeper if you like really want to go into it. And I really like it personally.
I despise the ship combat.
And another thing that you kind of have to shout out with these games is like the new engine that they've been working with. I guess they probably they had a new engine with Origins, and Origins is a beautiful looking game, and Odyssey again. The game is gorgeous. I mean, just like when I'm playing this game on like my 4K HDR TV, there have been times when like the sun just like hits the hills of the Greek countryside just right, and I'm just like, fuck. Like, this game is pretty. So I'm really enjoying it. It's been a really good time, and I have to be honest with you. Like, there have been significant rumors that the next game coming next year is going to be like Viking themed, And I'm like so there for that, if that's true.
I'll be there.
That will honestly...
I might actually come back for some Viking assassin shit.
That will honestly probably be the first Assassin's Creed game I've bought at launch since Revelations.
Damn.
So that might be a thing for me. I don't know. It depends on what the gaming climate is at that time.
Yeah.
But like, it's just, it's the Assassin's Creed games have actually become something that I look forward to. It's actually become kind of an impressive franchise. So I'm having a great time with Odyssey. But that's pretty much all I've been playing. I guess we should move on into the news. I've got, the big thing that we both want to talk about for a few minutes. But before we get into that, I just want to talk briefly. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I want to get our reactions to the Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer. You've seen this, right?
Unfortunately.
What was your reaction to this trailer?
Look at that trailer and tell me there's a god. Tell me there's a god watching that trailer.
I still hate...
just allow that shit to exist. That nightmare fuel to exist.
They gave him teeth, man.
Here's the thing. He has teeth, all right? But the actual human teeth.
No, that's what I mean. They gave him, like, human teeth.
And it bothers me.
They gave him human teeth to eat as human food.
And it bothers me. What, he's like a fucking alien now?
That's what I don't like. That's
I'm
the
here
real...
to save your planet. I was like...
I'm here to save your planet.
You're not from here, man?
And
no.
it seems like they're going to get into, like, the dimensional kind of shit, because, like, there's a moment where Sonic, like, throws out a ring portal, and I'm like, Sonic doesn't do that. Like...
Now, this trailer made me feel for Sonic fans in a way that I never felt for Sonic fans.
Oh, I'll be honest. Sonic fans have kind of gotten the shaft for a long time.
No, they're getting ass blasted with this shit.
Well, here's the thing that I'll say for Sonic fans. It's like Sonic fans hold out hope. Like they usually get like just bullshit year after year. And I used to make this joke with Dan where, like, every year Sega would put out, like, a statement with a new Sonic game, and they'd be like, Sonic's back! It's like, Sonic's back, he hasn't gone anywhere. You guys release a new Sonic game, like, every year, every 2 years, and they're always shit. Sonic didn't go anywhere, you just keep kicking the dead horse, you know? And I think that the saving grace for Sonic fans, though, is that every now and then you get a Sonic Colors or a Sonic Generations or a Sonic Mania, you know, you get those like lights in the darkness every now and then. And I think that's what keeps them holding on.
And there's only darkness with this movie.
Yeah, this movie...
Only darkness.
I'll tell you what, though, man. Like, this movie looks so bad that I almost, like, have to see it.
And I think that's what they're going for.
I just have to see it.
It's so bad that everybody's like, it can't be that bad.
I just have to.
It can't be that bad.
I just have to see it. Like, it's almost like... It's almost like they put out like flyers saying like, "Hey, like there's gonna be a train wreck in November.
So you want to check it out?
Want to come watch?" And I'm like,
"Nah."
Yeah, I kind of do.
It's a hard pass for me, man.
I don't know, man. I feel like I have to watch it, and it's just so funny because Detective Pikachu at the time of this recording has not come out yet. It comes out next week, but everybody's coming out of Detective Pikachu, and we had similar reactions to the Detective Pikachu trailers, right? Where it's like,
I'll say this: the Detective Pikachu trailer does not bother me nearly as much as the Sonic ones.
Well, because here's the deal:
Sonic's design bothers me.
Some of the Pokemon and Detective Pikachu, their designs bothered me. But who
bothers you the most from Detective Pikachu? Is it Mr. Mime?
Mr. Mime, yeah, definitely.
Mr. Mime bother you?
Either Mr. Mime or Jigglypuff.
Yeah.
But the crucial distinction is that at least Detective Pikachu, even from the outset, from that first trailer, it got the world right. Like, it got the lore, like, it got the vibe of Pokemon absolutely right, even from the beginning. From that first trailer, where I was like, okay, I could see this happening. And as we've seen more, I've just grown more and more excited to where now I'm like, I'm going to be there minute one to watch Detective Pikachu. I can't wait. And the early buzz has been ridiculously positive. Everybody loves it. So I can't wait. It sounds like it's the first great video game movie. Sonic, with this trailer, gave me zero confidence that they're going to do anything right with this movie. The one saving grace, I think Jim Carrey looks kind of good in the movie.
But will he be good?
I don't know. But I at least he's kind of like given room to like to kind of have this like kind of slapsticky performance and like kind of be over the top and sassy, you know? Like I kind of like that they're kind of letting Jim Carrey chew the scenery with the Robotnik role. But that's probably going to be the one good thing about this otherwise bad movie. And like Gangster's Paradise was such a strange song choice for the trailer.
Wait, it's not the first trailer with a weird song choice.
Oh, what are you referring to?
Oh, was it the fucking Assassin's Creed?
Oh yeah, didn't it have that Kanye West song?
Yeah, it was
Yeah. Oh,
all
man.
that power.
Yeah. I don't know. The Sonic the Hedgehog movie though, I kind of want to watch it out of morbid curiosity. But
You're a better man than me. I'm not touching that shit at all.
I just gotta know what the deal is. Are we going to like different dimensions? Is Sonic an alien? Are we gonna see like Knuckles or Tails in the movie? And here's the deal. I'm not even a Sonic guy. I've gone on record, I think even on this podcast, kind of taken a shit in Sonic's mouth several times.
You have.
Like I think I have effectively pissed off the Hedgehog community at this point. So
Sonic is I'm gonna be honest. Sonic is a franchise that should have died a long time ago, and just let it die. Let it rest in peace.
it's just never. I really think that even the ones where people are like, "Well, Sonic 2 and 3 are really good," and I'm like, "Okay, I can acknowledge that. I like them fine, but I feel like they kind of exist at this weird like contradiction of speed and exploration." Where it's like, like, why are you going to encourage me to explore these levels, these like intricately designed levels, when you're also encouraging me to just dash through them because I'm playing as the fastest character in existence, right? Also, that's another thing that bugged me about the trailer. Like, he's Sonic. How are you able to shoot Sonic with a blowgun? You know what I mean?
Yeah, caught off guard, man. No, it's
Not really.
And then later on in the trailer, they show him around, like, fucking a bunch of missiles around him, and he's playing drums and shit.
And he's, like, somehow, like, stopped time, it seems like. And, like, a weird...
He's just that fast.
I don't understand. And, of course, they drop the gotta go fast in there, I guess I come into these with a little bit of rose-colored glasses because I'm like... Even like the even that awful Super Mario Brothers movie from like the 90s, like I even kind of love that, despite how awful it is. I kind of just love that it exists, So, even though this looks like it's going to be like a terrible, Sonic the Hedgehog nightmare, I'm still happy that it exists because I feel like that's going to be something that I'm going to enjoy on some kind of level. It's going to be like the Room of video game movies,
No, Lord.
Put that on your poster. The Room of video game movies. Moving on, though, we watched today, at the time of this recording, Gearbox has lifted the curtain finally on Borderlands 3 gameplay with an hour-long gameplay reveal stream. Whew, Todd.
My dick!
Whew.
My dick!
I'm still recovering from that stream, man. Whew. That game looks so good.
Just on pure quality of life changes alone.
Dude, that's what really has stricken me from what we've seen so far.
Yes.
Let's get into this.
Yes.
What are some of the changes that, that really stuck out?
First glance. Like I'm gonna just say my favorite thing right now is the fact that the explosive barrels, you can punch them and actually send them flying.
That sounds like such a small thing, but it's so major.
But it's a game changer because it's just like, dude, I used to never really fuck with the explosive barrels like that because it's like, why? Yeah, I'm gonna like wait for enemies to just pile around it.
the
Doesn't
amount
matter now.
well,
You can just send it.
and then also like the amount of times you could get stuck on them and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they also seem like they're really doubling down with like the environmental gameplay where there's like we saw a shot where he like let loose an oil spill and kicked a fire barrel into it.
Yeah,
you know,
that was a really cool moment. There's actually a slide now with the movement, which I'm gonna tell you right now, that's nothing crazy, but I love that. You know, like this because I love sliding around in any game. Honestly, that's just kind of like when it comes to a movement thing in a game, I love a good slide.
Well, it just serves to make like the moment to moment gameplay just feel more fluid. You know. Like that to me is a noble endeavor. If you can just make me feel like I'm like kind of weaving in and out of combat and stuff like that, like that's good enough for me.
And the thing that I really enjoy about the game that we've seen, there's 3 action skills per character.
That's so cool. Every tree, it looks like, has its own action skill.
And they're all available from the moment you start the game.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, and it's funny because you sort of fell in love with Amara from the get-go, and I kind of haven't. I've been kind of flip-flopping.
Oh, dude, I already know like where like the two action skills I'm gonna switch around to. Just depends on if I'm in the mood for damage or if I'm in the mood for crowd control.
Right.
So.
And just like now, like because obviously the big gameplay focus with this stream was Amara and Zane, and seeing like some of the Zane stuff in action, I'm like, yeah.
Zane looks hella fun.
I'm probably going to be playing Zane as my first character. Like Zane is probably going to be my main in that game.
We still gotta wait and see some more shit from
Flack and Mose. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, maybe they'll show something from them that really blows my skirt up. But just looking at Zane's skill tree and like the stuff that he can do, I'm very on board with Zane. So. That was really cool. The big quality of life thing, and this again sounds so dumb, but the mantle.
The mantle, yes.
The mantle.
Like, I think there's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be just getting around the worlds of the game. I think gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna
actually
feel
like
better.
Platform around. Because this dude was like platforming around in one of the mini boss fights. You know,
right?
And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he was kind of like there was a boss fight against, I think his name was Mouthpiece.
Yeah.
And there was sort of like this tower of like stereos that he was able to sort of climb to the top of and kind of like shoot like over the length of his shield, kind of shoot down at him.
Exactly, yeah.
God, I just like all of that looks so good. To say nothing of like how, can we just say that already, just based on what we've seen from the hour that we've seen of Borderlands 3 gameplay, the art to me is so striking already.
Yeah, it still looks like Borderlands, but it definitely looks like shit. What planet was that? Promethea?
Yeah, Promethea was this. Yeah.
Oh my god, that shit looked beautiful.
Well, I just love. I mean, even like, even seeing some of the designs of like the first area, the Children of the Vault sort of base. That was so cool looking. Like just some of the art, the art choices and the design was really cool looking. Going back to the quality of life improvements, the instanced loot is such a brilliant idea.
So that's a whole thing. It's like you have the instant loot, you have the balance. I can be a level 25 character and jump in with a level 5 character and the game's balanced.
Right. So essentially, say I'm playing as a level 5 character, the enemies in the game will be level 5 for me and dealing, damage appropriately to me and stuff. But if Todd jumps in and wants to play with me, he's also going to be fighting the same enemies, but for him they're going to be like level 25 and dealing appropriate damage.
And my loot will be level 25.
Exactly. Your loot will be, scaled to your level as well. And most importantly, and that's always been kind of a bummer with Borderlands, is you've kind of had to like choose like, okay, well, who's getting this? Well, not anymore, because the loot is now instanced for everybody. You see your own loot, no more ninjaing, and man, it's so nice. Like that is going to be such a nice. And I know that like a lot of people take issue with it, and it is worth saying that Gearbox has said that you can switch to a classic mode.
Yeah, you can play classic mode if you want. It's
right.
like you want to get that old school experience, go for it. It's on you. Other thing that I'm really this is truly the greatest quality of life change is the ammo vending machine.
Oh my god, the fact that again, this all sounds like little stuff, you guys, but for people like us,
for somebody for somebody like me,
yeah, right,
like
people for the Borderlands fans who have spent hundreds of hours, playing these games, the fact that you can just, I mean, think about it. When you look at your playtime, right, you've spent thousands of hours in Borderlands 2.
On one character alone.
When you add up the amount of time that you've spent having to go in and manually buy ammo.
Yeah, and it's not like you can just do it all at once. So you got to sit there, go through. Let me get my rocket ammo. Let me miss my SMG
and it only
ammo,
takes a few seconds. But when
it does.
But when you multiply that over the length of time you spend with these games, I mean, you've probably wasted like 30, 40 minutes on just buying ammo.
Some real shit. So now but you don't even have to go into the vending machine.
Just a refill ammo button.
So you can enter the vending machine or refill ammo. Boom, done. I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna shed a tear when I saw that shit. I was like, oh.
And then they've added some cool things like emotes. Yeah.
I think there's gonna be a lot of customization.
Yes.
When it comes to this game.
It seems like you can customize your color, your skin, your headpiece. You can have emotes.
I do like that. I do like the fact that you're going to be able to do the color as well as the skin.
Yeah, I'm glad that they did that again because, even in Borderlands 2, yes, it was an improvement, but you were still kind of like tied down to the color of whatever the skin was.
Yeah.
So you could like the look of a skin all you want, but you can't choose the color. So I like that they've gone back to that. So that was a nice change. The biggest thing for me was, and this is something that actually Anthony Birch talked about after Borderlands 2 was released, where he was like, man, looking back on Borderlands 2, I really wish we had the characters talk more and characterize more, because the thought process with Borderlands 1 for the writers was, oh, we want you to feel like you are Mordecai or Brick or whatever. Well,
and no, that's
not what people want.
That's a mistake.
Right.
Like, people, in a way, fall in love with these characters for how, for the characters.
Because we know these we love these characters for who they are. We love their stories and their voice and their personalities. So we're not projecting. I'm not projecting myself onto Zane or Amara or whatever. I want to hear them talk and characterize. So that's something that they're doubling down with Borderlands 3 that we saw even in this first hour.
Yeah, even I like the line that Amara said to, like, Lilith, like, Siren's sister, basically.
Right.
Like,
so there was a moment where you encounter Lilith and the the player was playing as Amara, and you get the choice, like, Lilith kind of says, "What's up to you?" And you get the choice to approach her and talk to her, and Amara addresses her, like a fellow Siren would. I'm assuming everybody's going to have unique lines, and that really means a lot to me. It's going to be really cool where you're actually going to get, like, different perspectives with all these characters. I loved that. I hope that they do more of these kind of lengthy streams as we get closer to the game. I want to see more of Flack and Mose. I want them to talk about stuff like endgame content. They've said that Borderlands 3 is going to have the most extensive endgame content of the series, but what does that mean? Are we going to have a lot of raids to look forward to, like, from the get-go? So I want to know more about that stuff. They showed off the new hub for the game, the Sanctuary 3, which is a spaceship hub. Oh man,
I dig it. Like that. Oh, we're missing out on, like, one of the coolest new features, actually, and it's actually in there. Is you will never lose loot.
Yes,
there is a lost and found, per se.
Yes, and you can just go up to it and hit a button. And it just spits out the loot that you didn't pick up.
That is so good. That is so good to me.
I'm kind of hoping that you can, like, adjust it to kind of like...
If you can adjust it, like, I don't want whites.
Exactly. Like, make it...
I don't want whites or greens or whatever.
Make it filter to only be legendaries or whatever. But it solves the problem of, like, sometimes you'd play Borderlands and, like, loot would shoot out in a place that you literally can't reach. And you're like, well, I guess I'm just fucked now.
Oh, it's happened to me. I've lost multiple legendaries to that.
Yeah, so... That's a very, very nice, thoughtful touch. Again, it just seems like I'm kind of glad in a weird way, Todd, that they have like taken this long to put out Borderlands 3, because now there have been so many billions of hours spent with Borderlands 2. They knew coming into this game the kind of things that needed to be fixed. And it seems like Borderlands 3 is really just like... It seems like the main focus of Borderlands 3 is just going through and checking all the boxes of all of the like quality of life improvements. And I really can't wait. I love the kind of the fact that we're going to have multiple planets to explore. I mean, we just saw Pandora and Promethea in this gameplay, but we know that there are several more planets in the game. And I can't wait. We saw kind of a sizzle reel of like the different locales in the game, and all of them
look so diverse.
They look so diverse and varied, and I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
My dick.
It's a damn shame that we still have like 4.5 months to go.
I know, right? It's rough.
I'm ready. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about with that Borderlands reveal? Are we forgetting anything that we should mention?
I think that was about it, honestly.
Yeah, that kind of covered the main things I wanted to mention. So I think we should move on to our topic for episode 100. And this is kind of the one kind of, again, maybe it's a little masturbatory, but it's episode 100. Like, let me enjoy this. This is a big achievement for me. So for episode 100, Todd, I wanted to go back and just sort of talk about it for just a little bit. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. This episode's already running long, and like I said, I didn't want to like jerk our own dicks too much for episode 100, but just to indulge it a little bit. I wanted to go through and have each of us kind of talk about, let's just spitball some of our favorite episodes of the show that we've recorded so far. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
Oh, I'm going to start it off with probably, in recent, like, to my knowledge, what my favorite episode is. I love that fucking Bachelor Party episode.
Yes.
I
Episode
love
74.
that episode with a passion. Where the beams disappear.
Yes.
And the namesake of that is that I was like when I got to that part, I was like laughing. I'm telling you, I had to be pretty toasty to like just give a shit about reading that dumb shit.
Oh, you were gone.
Dude, because like I'm like reading, I'm just like looking at the back of like Jim Beam, and it has like the fucking Beam family tree like a jackass, and I'm like,
I love that we actually did that, and it's not, because it's obviously not the best audio quality of Nerd Bourbon,
not the best audio,
because we just literally had
knows.
one of my Blue Yetis just sitting in the middle of my table.
And it was just fun though, dude. Like it was a fun episode, really good conversation. We all got a little toasty. It was good to have our mutual friend Dan there.
Oh, we got straight up fucked up.
Dude,
when you think about the sheer amount of whiskeys, like even though we were just tasting like the whiskeys, I mean, we drank a lot of fucking whiskey.
We still had about a glass of each single one, so it was about like almost like 6+ shots.
And there were a couple of them that I took, second or third from.
Oh yeah,
so
dead ass. And then I jumped into that's when actually I tried rum for the first time.
It's a nice that's one of the ones that I was going to shout out if you didn't. I knew you were going to, but if you
come on.
If you for some reason were going to, that's one of the ones I was going to shout out, because I love that I have like a recorded it's like just a little capsulated memory of my bachelor party. It's nice to like listen to that episode and go back and like relive that memory. I love it. That's definitely one of my favorites. Looking back at some of these, I love some of the times that I've kind of like done some bullshit. I love the early on episode 4, the fartaholic thing.
Oh yeah.
I love it when we just do some old bullshit. Just every now and then I get a dumb idea that I try to work in. Like another example is episode 17, It's Not Okay Anymore, where that was the death of Skate 4. Where you made it a point for those first 16 weeks there to mention Skate 4 in every single episode in some way.
I'm telling you, I got good at it though.
Oh no, you got great at it.
Dude, some of that shit was fucking like primo, like the ones that I like. I still think my favorite one is I think it's the pizza shop or the pizzeria.
That's my favorite one too. Yeah.
Like I'm like sitting there, I'm telling you, I used to be like perched on like a rooftop waiting to like just pounce like
we were talking about, because back then we would just talk about whatever we wanted. It wasn't like necessarily video game focused. We would talk about things like pizza or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, honestly, like my favorite pizza place is a local chain. Nobody really knows about it. Or I'm like, oh, what's
a hole in the wall, man.
I was like, what's it called? Skate 4. It was good. And of course I really enjoyed like chopping together that little kind of memorial to Skate 4 at the end of it with like the sad piano music. I really liked that.
It's really good. It was real good.
And I will say, Skate 4 is still hanging from the rafters in our hearts.
Oh, dude, like that shit. Like me doing that was like a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing that, and it's just I'm telling you, the final episode where I legitimately forgot to do it because it started getting to the point where like any last words, Skate 4. Like I just got so bored. I just got like I was like getting a little too forgetful about it.
Right.
And yeah.
So it reached that point where you kind of just started to forget about it or whatever, and that was fine. It was a really funny bit for a long time, and I think when I think back to the early days of Nerd Bourbon, that was like Skate 4 was such an important part of our identity.
Yeah.
That I'm like, at this point, I'm like, when Skate 4 does finally come out, I just want to like get a physical copy of it just as a tome.
And I feel like I want to be obligated to do like a playthrough.
Right. Well, I mean, I legitimately want the game.
So, oh no, I do too. I dead ass do want the game.
So I would buy it like digitally to actually play through it and stuff like that for the YouTube channel, of course. But I would want to have a physical copy just to like have like almost as like a piece of Nerd Bourbon history, because Skate 4 is an important one. I really like. I mean, it's always a highlight whenever we play Video Game Vomit. That's always fun.
Video Game Vomit is like all those episodes are great.
That's always fun.
Like, yeah.
Like I always thoroughly enjoy it whenever we play that. Are we getting close to needing another one actually?
Ah, shit. That might be a thing. We might have to look in to see when the last one came out.
I think technically we were due for one. Yeah, I think we are technically due for another one soon. So, okay. but those are always fun. Those are always a good time.
Shit, I think like the last one I had like a really good idea, like talking about like some shit stealing their souls.
There's always at least like one or two really good stupid ideas.
Oh, dude, we were talking about like Def Jam, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I just don't remember. It was a fighting game with like something else, and I just like it's like they were stealing the rapper's souls or some shit.
The most stressful episodes for me are also kind of some of my favorite to edit and work on, and that's the E3 episodes.
Oh yeah, the E3 episodes are that right there. I feel like each of those are like just the sheer amount of work that you put into them with like the notes, and like show notes have died for the most part. From like
we used to work on like in the early days we worked on show notes like every single week, and I would put together notes to send you. But now I kind of like playing it more loose.
There's a level of just I like to there's a level of winging it. And just kind of like having a little more freeform. But for obviously for episodes like E3 based ones that need show notes. Like
right.
It's just too much shit to cover.
So you just get to this point where I'm just up at 9 in the morning or whenever it is, and I'm just like furiously taking notes as I'm watching these conferences and recording. Usually the episodes end up being like pretty lengthy and require a lot of like editing work and stuff like that. And so but I really enjoy it. I really like it. It makes me feel like an industry professional. And I really like the pre-E3 shows that we do, which actually E3 is right around the corner. We're going to be doing that again pretty soon.
Yep. It's gonna be a yearly thing always,
But we stupidly started the show right around E3 time, but
yeah.
I really like doing the pre-E3. I like putting my predictions out there and stuff like that. I just enjoy E3 time in general, doing this podcast, and it's gonna be really exciting because like we're gonna be doing this podcast in the wake of a new console cycle.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
What are some other favorites? I really enjoyed last Christmas when we did the gift exchange.
Oh my god, dude! And again, I think we're gonna do that again.
I think that's become a tradition.
That's gonna be a tradition now.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a tradition. Honestly, this is not even talking about like the episode. This is just talking about doing the podcast in general. I'm amazed with just how much we already talk to each other.
Yes.
That we could sit here and do the podcast. Like
yes, we talk to each other every day, even outside of a podcast context, just as friends, and like. And so like when you add the podcast to it, I mean, I'm on the SoundCloud right now. Just the standard Nerd Bourbon playlist, just the standard playlist that's not including all of our side shows. It's like 105 hours of content.
Yeah, Yep.
You know, I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. I'm looking at some of these and like, you know, there are a few things that kind of like jump out at me where I just remember certain things like like when we first started talking about Monster Hunter, I can see like the flag in the ground of when Monster Hunter talk started.
Oh Lord, good old Monster Hunter talk. That thing is, that shit will come back when Iceborne comes out.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, I'm happy that I'm finally at a point in that game where I'm like kind of not touching it at all.
Right.
But I know I will come back, you know.
And I remember it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but I'm looking at some of these and I'm like, wow, like was the episode that we ranked the Marvel movies, was that really fucking episode 38? You know?
Was it that long ago?
It was that long ago.
My God, I thought it was early. I thought it was later than that.
Episode 38, dude.
Wow. A part of me is like wondering if we should like revisit that.
We definitely should at some point. I'm looking at some of these and I'm just like, fuck, like you forget the passage of time. One of our most popular episodes, weirdly, was an episode that I enjoyed doing. This was before we kind of like moved to the news oriented direction. And that's episode 63, I Don't Have No Crayons, where we talked about the school system.
Oh, yeah.
And we talked about education and stuff like that.
I actually had a lot of fun doing that episode because, again, that's like, I think you can tell just from that episode, I'm very passionate about that.
Yes. So that was actually a really cool one. And it paid off. That is one of our most popular episodes on SoundCloud.
I was very surprised by that. Like, it like did really well, actually.
Yeah. And I liked I did kind of like the more loosey goosey nature of the. I mean, I like the format that we've sort of fallen to.
I mean, we have a format, but it's still loosey goosey for the most part, you know.
But I mean, back then we would just talk about literally whatever.
Yeah, literally whatever the fuck we wanted.
You know. So.
I mean, and we could still technically do that with like at the ass end of the show.
Yeah, well, we do. We still talk about whatever we want, but back then there was just no level of professionalism. It's really taken.
Shit.
I mean, that's the thing that I think people should recognize if they look at Nerd Bourbon and they say like, God, like how could I ever start a podcast or whatever the case may be. You got to understand, like, we're 100 episodes in now and we're still figuring this shit out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, who knows? Like, and in the future, the format could fucking change. Like,
right.
Like doing this every week. It's a learning experience for every week. You learn something new every fucking week.
100 episodes in, and we are still very much figuring it out. I know, even though we don't do it anymore. One last kind of thing that I wanted to shout out is doing the video game shots. Even going back to one of my favorite Nerd Bourbon related memories is something that you guys actually cannot listen to because it is lost to the annals of time. But that first episode of that Titan Souls shots.
Titan Souls, yes.
Where we did like a little like 15, 20 minute shots on Titan Souls.
Yeah, and that is Nerd Bourbon of old, and it's funny is like when we first started Nerd Bourbon back, you know, like we talked about like doing the sideshows again, like we got to bring back shots.
Yes,
and
because it was such a good idea.
Shots has evolved now into more of a movie review show.
Yes, but Shots is the sideshow that we consistently go back to. I think more than anything else. I think.
It's the easiest one to do.
I think there are like 19 or 20 episodes of Shots at this point. So.
Yeah, and even then you can see like the evolution of Shots to more of a movie review show because we still have one of our probably most popular episodes of anything is Hellblade.
That is, if not our most popular episode, yeah, it's up there.
We hit that iron when it was real hot.
Yes.
And love that game.
but like I just love that memory of like when we came up with the idea for Shots, because we had just recorded an episode of the old Nerd Bourbon, which we only did like 3 episodes of.
Yeah.
Was it 3 or was it 2? There's the Bloodborne one.
Might have been. It was either it was the Bloodborne, it was the Far Cry one.
I think we might have done one more episode with Dan on it where it was like Christmas themed.
And we talked about poop.
And we talked about Doctor Who. Also, I think.
And poop.
Yeah. And
Doctor Who and poop, I think.
Yeah.
Wonderful time.
But other than that, I think those were really the only 3 shows that we did. And then we did that. We came up with this idea where we were like, because I was really hellbent, like when I first started Nerd Bourbon, I was listening to podcasts where I really felt like they were too long. And when Nerd Bourbon first started back in 2015 or whatever it was, 2014, 2015, I kind of took it as more of like an interview style where like you were like my special guest and I was like interviewing you basically.
Yeah.
And basically like asking you like questions about Bloodborne or whatever the case may be. It didn't feel as much of like a conversation as much as it was like an interview format.
Yeah.
And I really wanted it to be like 20, 30 minutes long. I wanted it to be kind of like short and sweet, kind of punchy. But, it's of course turned into more of like a conversational podcast as time has gone on. And when we relaunched Nerd Bourbon, in 2016?
I think back to like why the fuck, like, is it one of those things? Oh, you know what it is? Like, it's like for years before we started before we started doing it again. It's like we were just kind of I was always just like sitting there like we should just do like a Twitch stream of it.
Right. And we tried that for a little bit.
It's fine. I don't mind streaming, but like recording, it's just easier.
Yeah, we tried doing the Twitch thing for a little bit, and it didn't. I mean, like, do you remember we did that one episode where like people came in, they were starting to like flirt with us.
yeah, that was good.
So,
it was real good.
I don't know. I mean, I like doing it, but it was weird for me to edit those episodes too because like
yeah,
I don't know. I like the purity of just a straight record.
Yeah, there is something about the purity with that.
So I don't know. I look back at our work with a certain level of pride.
Oh, exactly, without a doubt. Like
just the sheer amount of content that we've been able to produce.
This is our love child,
Yes.
And I am very proud of it. It's like one of the main reasons I get up in the day.
Yes, it is a salvation for sure.
You know what it is? This is get a little deep. It's like a friend of mine. He's like he was recently in like therapy because he blah blah blah. I'm not gonna get too into it. He's told me, he's like, yeah, you should do that. I'm like, nah, I got my therapy.
Well, pretty much. I mean, you get the opportunity to just like sit and feel self-important for a little bit.
Yeah,
there is something to be said about that. I think that's essentially, to wrap it up. I think that's essentially what therapy is like everybody needs to feel needed, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody needs to feel like somebody gives a shit, and the reality is, not to sound like desperate or anything like that, but the reality is when we make this show and we see that we've created something together, we put it out into the world, and we see that there are people who are enjoying it, like that satisfies our need to feel needed.
Yeah. That right there is some real shit.
So anyway, I could sit here and wax nostalgic all night long, but we're running a little bit long, Todd, and I think I'm going to finish my glass of Hibiki here and wrap this show up. So is there anything else you wanted to add?
I think that's about it, man.
Thank you guys very much for 100 episodes. Here's to 100 more. I'll take one last sip of my Hibiki before we close out here. So cheers. All right. Everybody, we will see you in the next 100 episodes. Get fucking dunked on. Viva la Nerd Bourbon.
Damn it.
Bye.
See ya.
Hey there, thanks for checking out another fantastic Nerd Bourbon video. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, be sure to go ahead and subscribe, leave us a like, drop us a nice comment, or I guess a mean one if that's your prerogative. But until next time, get dunked on.